Hey guys, welcome back into studio. Dr. Keith Watson joins me for kind of our double, I guess, weekly health segment.
Yeah.
And today I kind of had a question. I wanted to talk about childhood obesity. I know summer's coming up. I know as a child, I like to sit on the couch and eat a lot of potato chips. But, you know, we can go about healthier ways of doing this.
Gosh, I'm an adult and I like to do that.
Same. Okay, so you don't necessarily grow out of it, but
No,
maybe we
you
choose
don't.
smarter choices. So, Dr. Watson, I guess, like, as a parent, when do you need to start being concerned about your child's weight?
I think you can be concerned at any point.
Okay.
Anytime a parent and my listeners, or excuse me, our listeners, and my patients is what I meant to say, know very well that I tell them if they've got questions, ask.
Okay.
I will be happy to tell you that your child's weight is great and you don't need to worry. But
Okay.
if there's a concern, ask your doctor, whoever it is. When you go to those checkups every year, or
Okay.
back to school and your school shots, or if you're in there when they have strep throat. If you have a question about their weight, ask your doctor.
Okay. Now, I know, like, a lot of times when we see small children, I feel like I've heard parents say, well, they're just a little chunky, or, you know, they'll get a growth spurt and grow out of it. And I feel like that can be the case sometimes, but that's not always the case.
No, and you're right. I do think there's a phase. I had a phase.
Didn't you?
I had the phase when I was younger where I was, I probably had that adolescent little extra few pounds that when I hit puberty and I grew, sure, that kind of wears off. But yeah, there can be issues where the child is overweight and the lifestyle is the contributing factor.
Now, whenever it comes to a child being overweight, I feel like as adults we think, okay, we'll diet, but is it okay to put your child on a diet?
If you need to, you can.
Okay.
But there's some things you have to understand about diets, and I think inherently we all understand this.
Yes.
Diets work.
Okay.
Most diets are safe.
Okay.
The problem is that when you stop the diet, you're going to end up right back where you started if you don't make the changes in your lifestyle that got you to the point to begin with.
Gotcha. So it's a lifestyle change. We're not just doing a little bit for 3 weeks, seeing what happens. Now, let's just say we have maybe a 6-year-old. What are some lifestyle changes, I guess, with our food could we incorporate in their diet?
The big one is usually calories.
Okay.
You're taking in too many calories and you're not burning enough off.
Okay.
So in most of my young children, it is going through a history with the parents of what the child eats, when they eat, how much they eat, that type of thing. Sodas and juice, this is simple stuff, but sodas and juice are bad.
Okay.
Juice is not good for your child. Orange juice is bad for you. Unless you're squeezing your own oranges and drinking the juice, orange juice out of a store is not healthy for you because it is mainly sugar.
Okay.
Apple juice, grape, anything you buy in the store is predominantly sugar. Sodas are loaded with sugar. Sports drinks typically are loaded with sugar.
Okay.
And so the doctor's job is to get that diet history and see if we're getting a lot of excess empty calories, which is just sugar. And your sodas and your juices do that. You know, the potato chips and the oatmeal cream pies, they're all bad for us, even though
sugary.
we love them. So trying to eliminate excessive calories that are empty and not good for you and getting more outdoor activity when you can in this heat.
All right, guys, well, stay with us. Me and Dr. Watson are still talking when we come back. All right, guys, welcome back. So if you were joining us before we went to the break, me and Dr. Watson are talking about, if your child happens to be obese and some healthy things that we can incorporate into their diet. One of that was taking away sugars. But Dr. Watson, what do we do with maybe picky eaters? And we can also talk about picky eaters who are maybe not making the weight that they need to make.
So picky eating, common too, and is especially common in your young childhood.
Okay.
Your 2 and 3 and 4-year-old who, one day loves peanut butter and jelly and then the next day tells you they don't like that. Okay. That is normal. So for all parents that are worried about that one's normal. With the picky eaters, you just kind of have to fight the battles.
Okay.
And see if you can get them to eat it, and sometimes reward them. Hey, you eat a little bit of this, then we can have some ice cream or a popsicle or some kind of treat that they want. Sometimes reinforcing positively what they eat helps in that aspect.
Now, as a picky eater, do you see the picky eaters like wanting the snacks more, or are they just not kind of wanting anything?
It's typically more they will eat, but they have this very limited menu. If you pick on their menu what they like, they will eat that and then some.
Yeah.
In other words, most young children that are picky are just not open to experimenting with new things.
Okay.
So they will have things they will eat. Parents get worried, like, this is all they're eating. Should I worry about this? No, because next week it's going to be different.
Okay. Now, if let's say maybe they're about 10 or 12 and they're still picky, is that time that we need to be like, okay, we've got to try some new stuff, or just let them eat the chicken nuggets, I would say?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
You always have to try to encourage the healthier things. But again, that's where your doctor's visits for your checkups every year are important. If they're a picky eater, but they're gaining weight appropriately.
Okay.
And I'm not worried about them being underweight or overweight either way, and they're getting plenty of fluids, especially in Mississippi in the summertime.
Yeah.
If they're doing those types of things, being picky is not necessarily something you have to worry about, because people's dietary palate changes over time.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I hated tomatoes. I wouldn't eat them. They were the grossest things in the world.
Okay.
When I got to high school, tomatoes were one of my favorite things to
Yeah.
eat. So things like that will change. As long as they're growing and they're developing, picky is okay as long as they're not deficient in something.
And so if they are deficient at that point, what kind of foods would you say that we need to incorporate? Would we need to do protein for them, or?
Depending on what you may feel like they're deficient in, you could then give them a list of foods that have those vitamins in them. Or if they really are just not going to, I'm not eating broccoli, I don't care what you say. Children can take a multivitamin.
Oh, okay.
You can prescribe a multivitamin or have them pick one up at Walmart that's got, in it everything that they need, and then that reinforces some of the better habits for them.
Yeah. And I would say, though, important with a multivitamin is we need to take it consistently.
You should take it, yes. It won't help you if it's sitting on your shelf while you stare at it.
Okay, look, I'm going to say I am a terrible person to take vitamins. So I'm imagining as a parent, I don't think that it would be very much easier if you're already bad at taking
it. It depends. If you tell them, look, you take the vitamin or you eat broccoli.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll take their vitamin.
And a lot of times, though, those vitamins are in gummy form, correct?
Yes. When I was a kid, and for anybody out there, I'm 52 years old, so anybody within my age group, we remember the chalky, gritty, Flintstone chewable vitamins that my dad made me take every day that were horrible. Now, there's capsules you can swallow if you don't want to taste anything. There are gummies. There's all kinds of great stuff that we didn't have when I was a younger person.
All right. Well, Dr. Watson, I think all these are great pointers. So look, if you have any questions, like he said, ask your pediatrician.
Absolutely.
Ask Dr. Watson. He'll help you answer. But guys, that's all the time we have. We'll be right back.